Do you like mysteries? To wander through the enigmatic mist of the inexplicable? Great. I'm Merc, and here you'll find what you're looking for. Welcome to my domains. The truth dissolves into the mist.
Long before calendars were simplified into months and numbers, the Maya believed time itself was alive. It breathed, it aged, and at the turning of certain cycles, it demanded payment. The end of a year was not a celebration. It was a moment of danger, a fragile threshold where the old world could collapse before the new one was allowed to exist. In the deepest ceremonial centers of Mesoamerica, priests prepared for a ritual that few were meant to witness, and none were meant to survive remembering. Stone cities like Tikal and Copan did not sleep when the year approached its end. Fires were extinguished, homes were cleansed, and silence replaced celebration. The Maya believed that during this transition, the gods withdrew their protection, leaving humanity exposed to chaos. This was the time when the sky could fall, when the sun might refuse to rise, and when something ancient could return if the balance was not restored. You might think of the new year as renewal, but for the Maya, renewal required sacrifice. The long count calendar did not merely measure time, it predicted moments when reality itself became unstable. Certain year endings aligned with ominous celestial movements, eclipses, planetary convergences, and the disappearance of Venus from the night sky. These moments were marked in codices that were never meant for common eyes. At the center of this belief stood the idea of world resets. According to Maya cosmology, previous worlds had already ended. Some were destroyed by fire, others by flood, others by darkness. The current world survived only because rituals were performed correctly. If even one step failed, the gods would not intervene again. Archaeological evidence suggests that during specific New Year transitions, ceremonies intensified beyond anything seen at other times. Altars show signs of extreme heat, bones fractured in deliberate patterns, and obsidian blades worn down as if used repeatedly within a short span of time. These were not symbolic acts. They were urgent, desperate attempts to keep existence intact. Spanish chroniclers later described whispers they heard from elders who survived the collapse of the Maya cities. They spoke of a forbidden ceremony performed only when the calendar demanded it, a ritual so severe that it was erased from public memory. Even priests were divided. Some believed the ritual ensured survival. Others believed it invited destruction. This ceremony was said to begin after the final sunset of the old year. No music, no chants, only the sound of breath and fire. Participants were chosen not by status, but by signs observed in the heavens. Those selected were believed to stand closer to the gods or closer to the abyss. The difference was never clear. The ritual involved blood, but not in the way commonly described. Bloodletting was normal in Maya culture, yet this went further. Evidence suggests prolonged endurance, controlled suffering, and the intentional crossing of physical limits. The goal was not death, but transformation, to become a vessel capable of carrying the year forward. Some glyphs hint that at the climax of the ritual, a moment occurred where time was said to stop, not metaphorically, but literally. A pause between breaths where the sun hovered below the horizon longer than it should have, a moment when the future was negotiated. What makes this ritual forbidden is not only its brutality, but its implication. If the Maya truly believed the world depended on this act, then every new year was a gamble with extinction. And if they were wrong, then countless lives were lost for nothing. But if they were right, then the silence of history may be the only proof that it worked. Even more disturbing is the possibility that fragments of this ritual survived. Certain modern traditions in Central America align too closely with ancient descriptions: fires extinguished before midnight, blood offerings disguised as symbolic acts, and the lingering fear that if the year is not welcomed correctly, something unseen may cross over. The Maya did not fear the end of time. They feared time continuing without permission. And if this ritual was truly abandoned, one must ask, what happens when a year ends without the gods being paid? As the great Maya cities fell silent and stone temples were swallowed by the jungle, the ritual did not disappear completely. It fractured. What was once centralized became scattered, hidden within isolated communities and oral traditions, stripped of its original structure but retaining its fear. The forbidden nature of the New Year ritual may not have been imposed by conquest alone, but by necessity. Knowledge too dangerous to preserve intact. When archaeologists excavated ceremonial sites linked to calendar transitions, they noticed something unsettling. Layers corresponding to year endings contained more offerings, more human remains, and signs of rushed construction, as if preparations were made under immense pressure. Walls were reinforced hastily, altars rebuilt repeatedly, and symbols of time carved deeper than usual, almost as if permanence itself was being demanded. The most disturbing glyphs depict figures bound not by rope, but by circular symbols representing cycles. These individuals were not prisoners. They were anchors, chosen to hold the weight of time itself while the year turned. Their suffering was believed to distract the gods from unleashing catastrophe, a diversion paid for in flesh and endurance. Spanish records mention indigenous elders who refused to speak during the new year, covering mirrors and extinguishing candles before midnight. They claimed reflection and light could attract wandering forces during the transition. This belief mirrors ancient Maya fears that during the year change the boundary between worlds weakened, allowing entities from previous cycles to return. Modern researchers often dismissed these accounts as superstition. Yet satellite scans reveal anomalies beneath certain ruins aligned with calendar resets. Chambers sealed deliberately, never reopened, containing offerings that suggest something was not meant to leave once placed inside. These were not tombs. They were locks. One controversial theory suggests the ritual was designed not to please gods, but to restrain them, that the Maya believed certain deities grew hostile as cycles ended, demanding control rather than worship. The ritual, then, was not a sacrifice of devotion, but an act of containment. If true, the abandonment of this ritual becomes far more alarming. The Maya calendar did not end because it failed. It ended because no one remained to complete what came next. The final cycle was left unresolved. Every new year since then may represent an unclosed door. Across the world, people count down the final seconds of the year with celebration, noise, and light. But few realize how ancient cultures treated this moment with fear, silence, and blood. The Maya believed the universe listened closely during this transition, recording every action, every omission. If the ritual truly kept something at bay, then its absence raises a haunting question, not whether the world will end, but whether it is slowly drifting without the balance once enforced. The Maya warned that time is not a straight line, but a wheel, and wheels eventually return to the same point. When the next year begins, and the silence between seconds stretches just a little too long, ask yourself what ancient debt was left unpaid, and whether time itself is still waiting.
Did you like this mystery? And what is your theory? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, then like and share. I'm Merc, and I'll be waiting for you in the next mystery.